friends, welcome to The Buzz. On this episode, we'll be learning about spooky nature that screams Halloween. And even though they may seem scary at first, the more you learn, the more you'll instantly fall in love with the creepy crawlies. And then what better way to celebrate fall than hiking and exploring Hammel Woods? Get ready to be a little spooked on this episode of The Buzz. They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky. Let's meet our animals, fungi, and spooky plants that make the preserves perfect for Halloween. At first glance, they may seem a little surprising, maybe even a little scary, but knowledge is power. And the more you learn about these critters, the more you'll see they're not super scary at all. The fear of spiders is arachnophobia and is one of the most common fears in the world. And it could be because these critters have many legs and many eyes, and it's hard for us two-legs and two-eyed humans to relate to. It could also be that some are venomous and that triggers our defenses. But out of the 500 species of spiders in Illinois, only 2 are venomous, the brown recluse and the black widow, and they're rarely seen in Will County. Spiders and their webs are Halloween decoration staples, and lore thinks that spiders used magic to create their intricate webs. It could also be because we see more webs this time of year. Orb weaver spiders mature in the fall, so bigger spiders means bigger webs. On these cool mornings with the misty dew, the circular webs really stand out in the sunlight. And these webs are great for us and the ecosystem because they catch tons of insects, including some that we think are pests like flies and mosquitoes. So if you're looking to spot some really cool webs, check out any of our bridges across the county and the forest preserves. One special spider that fits the Halloween theme is called the pumpkin spider, or marbled orb weaver. And I was lucky enough to see one in person at Goodnow Grove Nature Preserve. It was big and it had bright colors and it had this awesome patterning that I knew it had to be something special. Females are larger than males and have a round abdomen. That abdomen can be bright yellows or oranges and they have bold black patterns. It fits in perfectly with your jack-o'-lanterns on your front porch. Owls are nocturnal predators with silent flight, sharp talons, huge eyes. They're perfect additions to spooky season. There's tons of stories and folklore about them. They were tied to death omens, ghosts, and dark magic. Some cultures thought they were messengers for witches, while others associated them with wisdom. Even though their appearance, like this cute little eastern screech owl, may not surprise you or scare you, the calls that they do at night just might. But you can be the wise one to debunk these eerie sounds by learning how the calls sound. And these owls aren't calling to scare you. They're actually calling looking for love or defending their territory. To help us learn our calls, I have my handy identifier with me that will teach us what they sound like. We'll start off with the great horned owl, which is Illinois' largest owl, and it's the classic hoot owl. This is a sound that would be a perfect addition to any Halloween playlist. It sounds like this. But not all the owls sound as cozy as that one. The barred owl sounds like it's talking at night, and it says, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?" Let's see if you can hear it. Our eastern screech owl sounds like a horse on the loose with a high-pitched whinny call. And lastly is our barn owls, which are endangered in Illinois, so this sound of the night isn't as popular as what it once was. But picture the barn owl with the big white face, the round but long silhouette, and huge dark eyes. This owl likes to be in barns, so it would hide up in the corners and tall in the lofts, and the farmers would hear this sound. They thought they had ghosts in their barns, but it turns out it was just the barn owl. Owls aren't the only birds to make the spooky list. Crows and ravens have been long associated with lore and legends. One of the most famous stories is Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven. In Sweden, there's superstitions that a call from a crow is actually voices from the dead. And in Norse mythology, the god Odin had 2 ravens as his informants. These tales of talking ravens are rooted in some truth. The birds from the corvid family, like ravens, crows, and blue jays, can mimic other bird calls and songs, as well as some human speech and even man-made sounds. Ravens are found up north and out west, but our local crows that mimic also are known to be intelligent. Research has found that they have been able to use tools, like taking a piece of wood and shaping it so it would fit into a hole in search of food. Another spooky factor when it comes to crows is that a group of them is called a murder. Now, I'm not sure if this has anything to do with Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds, but these intelligent birds are also social birds. So grouping up together, they can share information about food resources. Research has found that groups will distract otters while the others steal their fish, or they'll follow ducks as they move the minnows to shallow waters. You may also see more groups of crows hanging out in the fall and winter because it's the time of year that they congregate to sleep together. Probably the most popular wildlife that gets its time to shine during Halloween is bats. There's plenty of creepy stories that include bats, the most famous probably being Dracula, where he can transform himself into a bat. And the author got inspired by looking at real vampire bats, who do suck the blood of wildlife and livestock. Note, no humans. The bats will drink blood, but just a little bit amount that does not harm the host. And the host does not turn into a vampire afterwards. There are about 1,400 bat species in the world, and only 3 of them are vampire bats. Many other bats eat pollen, nectar, and fruit, making them vital for pollination. These bats pollinate things like bananas, mangoes, agave, and so much more. We don't have any vampire bats in Illinois, but our 13 species are busy eating a variety of insects. And if you want to have bat decorations at your home, consider ditching the plastic ones and go for the real ones and build a bat house. Visit batweek.org to celebrate Bat Week, which is the last week of October. And this website has tons of resources, including bat house blueprints. Wildlife isn't the only spooky things we have in our woods right now. Fungus is another one that I've been seeing more and more used in books, TV shows, and video games as a new element of mind control and a spin on zombies. And it's rooted in some truth. There's a zombie ant fungus found in tropical regions. The ant gets infected by the spores, and eventually the fungus can change the ant's behavior. While we don't have anything like that in our neck of the woods, there are a few cool species to keep an eye out for. And before you ask, remember, it's illegal to harvest anything out of the forest preserves, and we do not recommend you eating any of these species. Speaking of zombies rising from the dead, this fungus looks like fingers unearthing from the ground. Dead man's fingers is a black club-shaped fungus, and it can start off as white and then fade into black as it grows. This fungus sometimes is a decomposing type of fungus, and some species are linked to black root rot. It can be growing on stress trees, but it's not normally a cause for concern. Check out decaying maples, locusts, or elms to see if you can find it. A fall classic mushroom happens to be these puffballs. Now there's all sorts of different species of puffballs. There's big giant white ones, and there's these stump puffballs. And it's a great example of what spores look like, because when you hit them at the right season, their strategy is to wait for the raindrops to come, hit their little fruiting bodies, and puff, there goes the spores. This is very spooky as the spores explode and kind of drift with the wind. But this is exactly what the mushroom wants it to do. It takes those spores off with the wind and sends it elsewhere to keep growing more fungus. You can't have spooky season without some black ooze and goo. Inky cap mushrooms have gills that actually liquefy and goo down. And this happens so fast. I saw them once in the morning before I left for work, and by the time I came home, the caps were almost gone. And this black inky substance can be used as writing ink, but the mushrooms don't care about that. As the gills ooze, the cap kind of curls up and puts the spores in the perfect position to catch the wind and keep growing elsewhere. It's hard to miss jack-o'-lantern fungus because it's got its name from its bright orange color. It will grow at the base of trees, on stumps, or even buried logs. And this fungus starts small with a little cap, and then it kind of expands as it ages. But the coolest fact about jack-o'-lantern fungus is that when it's young and small, the gills and mushroom are bioluminescent. Now, I have spent many of nights trying to see this glow with no success. But maybe this Halloween will be your lucky night. Lastly, there is one plant that always comes to mind for a spooky story. I found this plant for the first time at Hickory Creek Preserve, and I thought I found a new species of fungi. Of course, I was wrong. This actually turned out to be a plant, but why I didn't think it was one right off the bat is because it was ghost white. It had zero chlorophyll. Turns out it actually uses fungus to help it survive. Ghost plant, or Indian pipes, is called a saprophyte. And what it means is it can draw resources from underground, tapping into tree roots using the mycorrhizal fungi network. So this means it doesn't need chlorophyll or sunlight. It can grow in the darkest, deepest of forests. I hope we have given you a few new fun facts to make the creatures of the night less scary and more empowering. These creatures don't mean to scare us, they're just doing their own thing, to eat, to find love, and to survive. And remember, you're giants compared to all the wildlife out here, from the web-creating spiders to the intelligent crows. So this Halloween, make sure you share the love and advocate for our spooky friends.
The benefits are great when you invest in nature by donating to the Nature Foundation of Will County. You can help protect our precious habitats and restore natural areas back to their native state. Provide educational opportunities to unlock the natural world for present and future generations. Support diversity and inclusion so everyone can experience the magnificence of nature. The Nature Foundation works hand in hand with the Forest Preserve District of Will County to strengthen the commitment to land stewardship, nature education, wellness, cooperation, and sustainability. Donations large and small make a lasting and significant positive impact on the environment. Invest in nature and join our growing community. Support the cause at willcountynature.org. The days are getting cooler, and it's a perfect time to get moving in the great outdoors with this year's Woods Walk Challenge. This self-paced hiking challenge means you can tackle it how you want, when you want to. Go solo and use it to get some stress-free alone time, or bring a friend. The 10 trails have something for everyone. From cool tree canopies, colorful native plants, to wide-open views, you're sure to see plenty of cool things along the way. New this year, you can check in from the trail to log your walks. Just download the Goose Chase app and join the Will County Woods Walk Challenge. Or you can pick up a hiking guide at any of our visitor centers. Complete 7 or more of the hikes to receive your collector's medal. So hop to it and start walking. Map your next adventure at reconnectwithnature.org.
And now, let's enjoy a moment of peace and serenity.
Hammel Woods, located in Shorewood, is one of our oldest preserves. The acres were first acquired in the 1930s and was named after American World War I soldiers who fought in Hammel, France. Today, the preserve has 3 access points with many amenities and so much recreation for you and your dog. Before it was a preserve, in 1845, William Gritton built a flour mill on what is now the southern part of the preserve. This mill was in business for 20 years and was the top brand of flour for all the surrounding towns. Because of the success of the mill, it was the perfect foundation for a growing town. This area was known as Gritton Grove and had 2 blacksmith shops, a wagon shop, a shoe shop, and 2 saloons. Gritton Grove is the origin of the village of Shorewood. Today, Hammel Woods is a preserve to put on your fall hiking list. It's one of our bigger forested preserves with trails along the DuPage River that provide sceneries that will just melt that stress away. This preserve offers paved trails as well as natural dirt trails. If you are participating in our annual Woods Walk program, check out the DuPage River Trail because it is one of the hikes on the list and it's 3.4 miles. Now the other dirt trails here are about 1.5 miles and will take you on an adventure down the ravines, crossing footbridges, and back up to see the DuPage River below. On the right day, it can be a very peaceful experience to be out here as the leaves gently fall all around you. It's like a colorful rain that will make you stop in your tracks. Because Hammel Woods has such a high diversity of tree species, you're sure to see yellows, oranges, and if the weather's right, those deep crimson reds. Now we're a little early filming to get those colors today, but according to the Smoky Mountain Fall Foliage Prediction Map, Will County will be in its peak color season at the end of October this year. Even after fall, this preserve is a beautiful one to visit. In the spring, the brown forest floor gets transformed to speckles of color. I've seen bloodroot, violets, trout lilies, and of course the crowd favorite, Virginia bluebells. And in the summer, the leaves grow in the tree canopies, making it shaded for your bikes and hikes. And don't forget about winter. Hammel Woods is a hotspot for birding and for wildlife. With the forest and river having such easy access, Hammel Woods is a great place to visit to spot wildlife. Here by the river, we have seen beavers and muskrats, as well as ducks and wading birds like herons and egrets. And one of our favorites to catch sight of is a bald eagle, which are known to frequent the edges of the river. If you're lucky, scan the treetops because they may be perched up high looking below to swoop down and catch a fish right out of the water. If you know what you're looking for, you can catch a glimpse of immature bald eagles as well. Last year when we were paddling on the DuPage River, we saw this big brown bird of prey that was still too young to have its white head and tail feathers not quite grown in yet. Plus, we heard so much other wildlife along the shores. The birds were just screaming and singing and calling. You may not hear them at first, but sit back and just observe. They are out there. Beyond the river habitat, the forest is home to many of our likely suspects. Think squirrels, chipmunks, raccoons, coyotes, and lots of white-tailed deer. In a past episode, we wanted to feature deer and hit the jackpot here and found a whole group of them by the parking lot and the shelter. And these aren't the only mammals that call Hammel Woods their home. A colony of big brown bats love this shelter and have claimed it as their own. You can stand inside the shelter and hear them chattering overhead. We have also seen little brown bats, hoary bats, and tricolored bats. Now, all of them migrate and hibernate, so some seasons are battier than others. Besides hiking and biking, Hammel Woods is also a great place for paddling, fishing, and camping. With the removal of the Hammel Woods Dam, there is a new kayak and canoe launch that will get you directly on the DuPage River. We paddled this last spring and had a blast. We started at Plainfield Electric Park and ended here at Hammel Woods. It was a relaxing paddle full of wildlife, from fish to mussels to seeing birds and turtles. The Hammel Woods Campground has 6 sites available to rent online. 6 to 8 people can fit in the site and it's for tent camping only. This is a great way to experience the preserves at night. Depending on the season, you can head to the shelter and watch a spectacular view as the bats emerge for the night. And don't you worry, they're going high to the sky to find insects, not you. And if night hiking is more your thing, then try the trails and listen to the treetops. You might be lucky to catch an owl hooting in the middle of the night. And don't forget about our furry family members. Hammel Woods has a dog park that is perfect for any dog owner. You need a permit to come, but we have 2 different enclosures for small dogs and larger dogs, 35 pounds or more. The large dog enclosure is the largest out of the 6 dog parks around the county. It is perfect to unleash your dog and let them run. Like many of our forest preserves, we are actively managing restoration projects. Here at Hammel Woods, we are targeting removing invasive species like honeysuckle and European buckthorn. Just recently, Plainfield South High School students tackled this area. Now that the area is cleared out, our crews will come back and spray targeted herbicide on the stumps and chip all the brush piles. This creates more room and resources for our native plants to grow. More native plants bring more native insects, and more native insects brings more wildlife, large and small. Just being here at Hammel Woods has already cleared my mind of the daily stressors. With the forest and ravine and the river, there's plenty of nooks to explore. Whether you like hiking, biking, fishing, paddling, camping, maybe even you want to rent a picnic shelter for your next family party, there's so much to do here. So make sure to add Hammel Woods on your list so you can have stories of your own to share. Now that you know what goes bump in the night, you can experience the preserves in a whole new way. These critters are so beneficial to us and the ecosystem, it's worth to scream with them, not at them. Plus, make sure to add Hammel Woods on your hiking list so you may have a chance to see bats, owls, crows, maybe even spiders in real life. So map your next adventure at reconnectwithnature.org for our interactive trail maps and to read more about your local wildlife. I hope to see you during spooky season, but until then, I'll see you next time on The Buzz.